Aloha and good morning. My name is Juergen Steinmetz, joining you from eTurboNews in Honolulu. With us is livestream.travel and more important, Dr. Peter Tarlow in College Station, Texas. Today, it's morning time here right now. It seems to be a really beautiful day. I just went across the street to get my coffee, and it's a day you really don't want to get back into your apartment or into your house because it's so beautiful. How are things in College Station?
It must be the same because it's a beautiful day here in Texas. Of course, it's now afternoon. It's almost mid-afternoon here in Texas, but beautiful blue skies and temperature around 80 degrees, which would be about 26 degrees Celsius.
Okay, and today I think we want to talk a little bit about the upcoming World Travel Market in London. I'm going there physically. You're going to be participating virtually. And we also wanted to touch on our article yesterday in regards to a room service and housekeeping in hotels. So Peter, you had a practice session this morning for a World Travel Market. As far as I know, you're going to be there on Tuesday, the 3rd, I believe, of November at 11:30 in the morning London time, and everyone who's going to London to the World Travel Market can see you on the big screen. So what are you going to be discussing on the big screen?
Well, one of the big discussions and one of the big issues in tourism is the whole issue of cybersecurity. So I'm going to be discussing cybersecurity and not only issues of what hotels have to do and restaurants and airlines, but also how to protect guests when they're coming, because that's a really big issue. Of course, lots of people bring their own laptops, but there's been all sorts of problems around the world in cybersecurity, from ransomware to hotels not being able to open their doors to, well, we live in a world today which is connected by computers. And if I knock down your computer system, wow, you can't get into your room, you can't pay your bill, you can't, the electricity doesn't work. So those are all the really technical issues, but they're very important issues for good customer service. And if you want to get somebody upset, make sure their computer doesn't work. I mean, you're a big traveler, and just think how hard it would be for you to work if there was no internet service.
Yeah, we all have to learn. I mean, you're right. You cannot get into a room. I know many hotels I've stayed recently, they have electronic key cards. That means they're on your phone. You don't really need this plastic card anymore. You go close to the door and you hold your phone on it and it beams your door open. It's amazing what's happening these days.
Yes. But then think about what happens if you lose your phone.
Then of course you're in trouble. Yes. And anyone else can probably enter your room if they know you're staying there. So that becomes a whole layer of.
So many people have everything on their phone. And then it's really not that hard to break into a phone and, to figure out the passwords. And so there you go. And a lot of people don't even bother to put passwords on their phone because they don't want to be inconvenienced. So you lose your phone, you have no password, and everything is on your phone.
Yeah, it's not only that. I mean, even if you go to the airport, we have this wonderful system, Clear, where you don't need to show your ID anymore. You just zip through security at the airport because you showed your face to a machine. And guess what? When I did this was before COVID. One time, I was some guy with a cowboy hat from Texas all of a sudden. It wasn't me, but my face apparently must have been very similar. And they repaired it, but it's not 100% secure, I guess.
No, it's not. I had the problem when I was using Clear. I have to go back to, I guess, use it again. That when they first took my picture, it was with a beard. And then I shaved my beard. And then the Clear didn't know if I was the same person or not. And so that became a whole issue. I almost had to grow a beard back just in order to get to the airport lines.
Yeah, and talking about hotel and services, we did an article you wrote last night on eTurboNews, and you can see it. It's entitled "To Make Travel Great Again," not America great again, because this is a worldwide issue. And we've been talking about housekeeping and other services that are left behind because of COVID.
Right. Yeah. So, I think there's reasons for people to travel. Obviously, one is a practical reason. I'm a business person. I'm going, such as, for example, you're going to London to make contacts. That's business. Okay. That's one side of it. One side of it is people go on vacation. And one side of it is that people used to go for the romance or the enchantment of travel. I call it the enchantment of travel. And the business person can probably not collapse if his hotel is not that enchanting anymore. But if you're on the leisure side of that ledger, or you're on the enchantment side of the ledger, it's a honeymoon or whatever, you want something magical. You want not just to be at home. If you're going to be at home and you're going to get the same service or worse, you might as well have a staycation. And so one of the big fears that I have is that hotels, because they're cutting back either because of lack of staff or because they don't want to pay or because they're afraid of COVID or their staff is afraid of COVID, whatever those reasons are. And many of them are understandable and I'm not criticizing for them. But the big problem is we're losing the enchantment of tourism. And unless we can figure out some way to make people feel that this is a special experience, just think about when you call a hotel, how often do you get a person? First of all, you can even find the hotel number. It's already a major success. On their websites, the hotel numbers are hidden. But then you get a phone tree. If this, call this. If this, call this. Then you start talking to a robot. Then you're screaming at the robot. And people are frustrated around the world because all the beauty and the enchantment of tourism has been replaced by efficiency of a machine, but it's people that make tourism work.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's over machines. Computers are really these days dictating. I mean, it starts even when you make a phone call and trying to get to a live person because you still trust a live person. That seems to be almost impossible these days.
Right.
And
if you have a question or you have something that doesn't fit into their phone tree, it's really difficult. Or if you're trying to explain that they made a mistake, or there's a problem with your bill, or a problem with you're going to change your reservation, there's no customer service. There's robot service. And that's really difficult. People are screaming, they're frustrated. And that's assuming that you speak the language of the country. But what happens if you don't speak the language well? If I'm in Germany and I have to speak to a German robot and I'm speaking English, I have a problem, or vice versa. So I think, and we don't have, and I have yet to be in a place where the robot gets on and says, what language would you like to speak? Press
and that's
one.
possible. I mean, these days you can almost program anything in any language. If you go to our own publication, click on any of the languages, and you can read us pretty well in your whatever language you speak.
Right. But think about when you call a phone tree, in the United States, it'll often say press 1 for English, press 2 for Spanish. But suppose you're French or German or Dutch and you don't speak English that well, you're fighting with a phone tree. Well, a human being, you could say, could you repeat that again? Or could you help me speak a little slower? Or let me try to phrase that a different way. You can't do that with a machine. And so every part of that enchantment is gone. It's now just your piece of meat, quote unquote, that's being processed by a food processor called a robot. Then we have the other side of it. And that is that because of COVID, who knows, that we're not cleaning the rooms. You have to make special accommodations to get your room cleaned. Well, one of the reasons you travel is to be spoiled. And if you're spending $500 a night and you have to make your own bed, people are starting to think, maybe I'm better off staying at home and writing and making my own bed. So again, when we take the enchantment out of travel, even when I work with police and tourism police, their job is to create a magical experience while making sure that people are safe. And if they don't do that, then they're failing their city, their country, or their community.
Yeah, it's something I think we all need to learn. If you see how far this world went in the last 100 years or just in our lifetime, it's quite amazing. And who knows what's going to happen in the next 30 or 40 years. We're learning, and so are computers. But I think we have to be very careful that machinery is not taking us over, and that common sense is still an issue when it comes running specifically a leisure industry like travel and tourism. And of course, safety, security is important. No one wants to get COVID. We don't want the maid in a hotel to get COVID. But on the other hand, we need to provide services so people are actually using the services, so the maid has a job. But we need to make sure she can do it safely. So there's a lot of factors, I think, that come into it.
On top of that, there's population growth. It's projected, of course, nobody knows for sure, but it's projected by the year 2030, which is not that far away, the world will have a population of 8.5 billion people, not million, billion with a B.
Right.
And the Tokyo, which will continue to be the world's largest city, is expected to, again, it's projected, that Tokyo's population will be someplace between 36 and 37 million people. Now, you can be very lonely with 36 million people.
Right.
It's so big, so enormous that you can end up feeling like you're in a deep forest and there's no way out. And so customer service, the enchantment, the sense of feeling that somebody cares about you in a city of 17 million people, the 10th largest city projected is Mexico City, which will only have about 26 million people. And then it'll be, but interesting enough, many of these cities will be in Asia. Very few cities, no city in Europe, and no city, to the best of my knowledge, in the United States. So it's Shanghai, New Delhi, Cairo, Mexico City, these mega metropolises without a sense of somebody grounding. The robot is not going to say, "Are you okay? Do you not feel well? Can I get you an aspirin?" And that's where we need the human quality that's going to make it not a hospital, but hospitality. And you know, they both come from the same root, but a hospital almost deals with you today as if you were going through a conveyor belt. Hospitality should be the other way around, that you know that you're special and that people care.
And that is what travel is about. You know, that's why people like to travel to Thailand, because you get this Thai smile. And,
Right.
and there's people coming to Hawaii because they want to experience the aloha spirit. And if the aloha spirit is no longer with aloha, it's not going to work.
No, absolutely not. And you can't have the aloha spirit coming from a machine.
No,
I
absolutely.
mean, I don't know how many people want to really get a hug from a machine, or if they're crying, want a machine's arm to go around them. Sometimes we need the human touch.
Well, I can tell you from my late mother, she told me this story. This was many years ago, that she got this phone call, and this was in Germany, from a very nice gentleman who explained to her, I don't know what it was about, and he had so much patience with her, and she said, such a nice guy, he made me all these compliments. And then the next day she gets a call from a customer research company, how her conversation was with the computer. So sometimes we don't even know we're speaking to a computer.
Wow, that's the opposite side of it. Well, they did a very good job in that computer in Germany, but I would think in most cases it's the other way around. That I know I've been screaming at computers sometime. When I was just in South America, I had to cancel a flight, you know, redo it, and the computer kept saying, no, get me to a person. There was nothing on the phone tree for flight cancellation. And of course you want to cancel your flight because then you have some credit from the ticket. You don't want to just be no-show. And people looked at me and they said, you're screaming. I said, yes, I'm so frustrated with this computer. And yet, so I decided to call the airline back and tell them how bad their computer was. And all I got was another computer. And I was at one computer, how bad another computer was.
But Peter, then realistically these days, when you then talk to an airline, usually you don't talk to an airline employee, you talk to a call center who is hired by the airline to do certain functions. And these functions are computer-like functions. So when you talk to this very nice lady in the Philippines or in India, of course, they're trying their best, but they have a process to follow.
Sure.
So the first thing they're going to, after you did all the identification on your phone, you give them your last 4 digit of the social
Hey, what's your
security
name?
number. You tell them what your mother's maiden name is and whatever else they want to know. You have to start from scratch because they don't know anything about it.
Right.
Yesterday, I tried it actually, and I said, well, I just punched it all in. I mean, because she asked me for the account number again. And you said, yeah, so I said, you don't have this on your computer? Yeah, we have it, but we need to verify it again. And then when you actually get into the subject matter, there's only a certain tree of problems they know about because they don't work for the bank or for the airline or whatever it is. So if it's beyond that, the only way sometimes you get it, you have to ask for a supervisor, a manager, and then you'll be on hold for another 30 minutes and he will identify you again. So it's an ongoing process and it
Well, I'll tell you,
takes
it's
so
even
much
worse
time,
than that.
you know?
A lot of the hotels and the airlines hire people in the federal prison system in the United States and probably in other places also to take everybody's credit card. So people who are seriously, so people who have been sent to jail for fraud, you don't know you're giving them your credit card number.
Well, there's probably not that many places in prison to spend the money on a credit card, but who knows?
No, there isn't. But that's not the issue because once I have your credit card number, I can pass that off to somebody else.
Right, absolutely, yes.
And so
Yes.
so it's not that in prison they're going to use it, but they're going to. But if I were in jail for fraud, would you really want me to have your credit card number?
Not really, no.
And obviously, you don't know who else I have contact with, and whom else I know, and,
Right.
and whom I'm sending that number to. And so all of a sudden, your credit card number is being spent in North Korea, at the local Walmart in Pijang. Young.
Yeah.
So you got to be really careful of these things. And I often discover that the people I call for help desk, I'm helping them more than they're helping me. But what is that doing? That's destroying business. It's destroying enchantment. We're seeing that now with supply side all around the world. Yesterday, I went into a restaurant with a friend, and it was a very middle road restaurant and a popular chain. And I said, we'd like a table for 2. And the woman was very sweet. And she said, unfortunately, you'll have to wait 10 to 15 minutes. And I said to her, but all your tables are empty. She said, yes, but we don't have any waiters.
Yes, I heard that many times in this.
And so once again, the whole enchantment of going to a restaurant, I said, you know what? My friend could have come over. I would have made him a grilled cheese sandwich. But the amount of time that it took to go through this, and then part of eating out is not just the food, it's the experience.
Absolutely.
And we're taking that experience away because products aren't available anymore. People aren't working. I think we're going to see a huge, have you been to a supermarket recently in much of the world? The shelves are empty.
Yeah, that is definitely a problem. Even if you go to Costco now, you can only buy 1 pack of toilet paper. So yeah, things are not really going a good way.
No. I'm sure we both have a different analysis of why, but
well, that's a good thing, at least we can still have an opinion.
Absolutely. All right. Well, listen, I hope you will have an enchanted weekend. And
yes, I think if it's like this, it'll be wonderful. But I'm going to be getting ready for my trip to London. And for those of you that are going to London to the World Travel Market, we're going to have an event and we're going to celebrate our heroes and also announce a few more heroes in London. And we're going to be meeting at 12:30 p.m. at the Kenya stand. So if you are in London on Monday, I think it's the 1st of November, just come to the Kenya stand at 12:30 p.m. and you will meet us and many of our heroes. So we're looking forward to that.
Yes, and I really wish I were with you on that, but maybe I can zoom in, and so maybe at the Kenya stand I can join you guys as a Zoom member.
Absolutely. Actually, the Minister Balala from Kenya agreed to have a photographer for us, someone who's filming it. So there's a good opportunity, a good possibility we can
Well,
arrange
listen, you're not leaving right away. You'll be in this week, and we'll be doing some more shows. And you have a wonderful day today and a wonderful weekend.
Same to you, Peter, and same to everyone else. And if you wanted to see this or any of our shows, just go to breakingnewsshow.com, livestream.travel. And if you're watching it on eTurboNews, most likely it'll repeat over the next 24 hours, so you can be in touch virtually with us.
Have a wonderful evening, a wonderful day, or for you, a wonderful morning. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.